What's happening, beautiful people? Welcome back to another live stream right here on Cassius Morris Official. Let me make sure we're on right quick. Make sure we're live, that we don't have any connection issues, but I think we should be okay coming into this afternoon stream. And before you guys say anything, before you guys roast me and rip me up to shreds, I just lost a suitcase. So yes, I've been rocking the same couple of fits the past 3 streams. I would say we're down to like 4 t-shirts and 4 pairs of shorts until we replace the wardrobe from the lost suitcase. So shout out to Bromaste for holding me down, guys. We're sponsored by Bromaste. Very much sponsored by them, as it's the only thing I have to wear during this current season. But we're back in action, bitches. New Year's, same me, rocking the Bromaste. So the top story for today that we're going to kick things off with is Joe Rogan becoming increasingly verbal against the latest antics of President Donald Trump. This clip comes from the latest episode of the JRE featuring guest Shane Gillis, in which Joe Rogan does a quick review of Trump's latest shenanigans, including the plaques which have been added to the Presidential Walk of Fame, which are clearly written by Donald Trump. We're going to go over these crazy headlines and inscriptions that he's written on the plaques here in the White House. Of course, the photo of Joe Biden's auto pen hanging there as well. And I think the last straw for Rogan, which makes sense for him being a comic and a person in Hollywood, is Trump's comments on Rob Reiner. So Joe Rogan weighs in on all of this here in this clip. We're going to check what he has to say. And it seems like Rogan might be having some second thoughts as to the conduct and behavior of the president. Let's take a listen.
He didn't care.
I hate to get on Trump stuff, but have you seen the plaques?
No, I heard about it. So his plaques under everybody's name?
Yeah, he's kind of trashing every other president.
And what is he? He trashes them all?
The Clinton one I read, he talks about Andrew Jackson. I saw the Andrew Jackson and Clinton ones.
So for anybody who's not familiar with what's being discussed, in the White House currently, there's a Walk of Fame where they have a portrait of every single president who's ever served in the White House, and underneath them is an inscription, a plaque with writing about that president and what their contributions were supposed to have been. Now, evidently, Trump had a bit of say in these plaques, and the plaques about the presidents he doesn't like are completely shocking. So everybody has a picture and a plaque in the White House, but the plaques about Biden and the plaques about the other presidents Trump didn't like, those are the ones that are drawing skepticism and criticism here from the public.
The Clinton one is like, basically like he kind of got lucky with the economy because of the fucking tech boom. Also, then at the end, he's like, and then his wife tried to run against Donald Trump and lost. Like,
that's a plaque?
Yeah. Clinton's wife Hillary lost the presidency.
Huh. Does it really say he got...
So hold on. What does it say here for the Bill Clinton one? So it says, Bill Clinton served as the Attorney General and Governor, blah, 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 blah. He approved NAFTA, which President Donald J. Trump would later terminate as being bad for the United States, welcomed China into the World Trade Organization, and oversaw NATO's military intervention in Bosnia and Kosovo. Despite the scandals that plagued his presidency, the tech boom of the late 1990s resulted in excellent economic growth, which helped him and Republicans in Congress deliver balanced budgets for the first time in decades. In 2016, President Clinton's wife, Hillary, lost the presidency to President Donald J. Trump with an exclamation point. This is so insane. So it's not a blurb about the president's history. Really what it is like a personal narrative segment from Trump. Like, this isn't, the accolades or the accomplishments of the past president. This is like a Trump review. This is basically Yelp from Donald Trump for the presidents.
Huh. Does it really say he got lucky? Like, who's writing these things? He's not writing them. If he wrote
Joe
them, that would be...
Of course he's writing them. Who else is writing them except for Trump?
See, Joe Biden,
By
it
far
says
the worst
that?
president in American history.
Oh, my God. He is writing it. Oh, no.
It says Sleepy Joe Biden. No, it doesn't. Oh, my God. Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history. That's how they start off the plaque. No fucking way.
It
Far
says
the
that?
worst president in American history.
Oh my God, he is writing it. Oh no, let me read it from the top.
Yeah, okay.
This is so crazy.
No.
This is underneath a photo in the White House is so crazy. Look at this. Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history. This is so crazy. Taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States, Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters. What's the matter, Jamie?
Elections capitalized? Weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Unprecedented disasters that brought our nation to the brink of destruction. His policies caused the highest inflation ever recorded, leading the U.S. dollar to lose more than 20% of its value in 4 years. His green...
Bro came with the receipts and the stats. He's got the percentages. Now, Trump is crazy.
New scams surrendered American energy dominance, and by abolishing the southern border, Biden let 21 million people from all over the world pour into the United States, including from prisons, jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. Isn't that like he said two things that are the same thing?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, see, Joe's on the ball. Prisons, jails, insane asylums, and mental institutions. That's literally the same thing.
Both of them.
You're naming the same thing multiple times.
And insane asylums. Isn't that like he said two things that are the same thing? For both of them.
Jails, prisons.
Mental institutions, insane asylums. His Afghanistan disaster was amongst the most humiliating events in American history.
Wow.
And resulted in the
Well,
murder.
that's true, by the way. Just for the record, that's true. The Afghanistan withdrawal was pretty shameful.
13 brave American service members, which many others gravely wounded. Seeing many others gravely wounded. What's wrong with me? Seeing Biden's devastating weakness, Russia invaded Ukraine and Hamas terrorists launched their heinous October 7th attack on Israel. This is crazy. Nicknamed both Sleepy and Crooked by
No,
you.
it doesn't say that. Come on. Nicknamed both Sleepy and Crooked, bro. This guy's out of his mind.
Nicknamed, like the whole public got together. I got a name for this guy. Was dominated by his radical left handlers. Look how radical left is in caps too. They and their allies in the fake news media.
Dude, he needed 2 plaques, by the way. This is the funniest part about the Biden one. He had so many insults for Biden that he literally had to get a second plaque because he couldn't fit it all on one. That is the funniest shit, dude. Imagine if he just had like 5 plaques. It just kept going. Dude couldn't even fit the insults on one space.
Attempted to cover up his severe mental decline and unprecedented use of AutoPen. This is so crazy.
So ridiculous.
You shouldn't be allowed to do this, right? It should be like historians say this guy was president from
Oh, wait, what's it say at the end of that? Does it say Donald Trump saved America?
Despite all, President Trump would get reelected in a landslide and save America in all caps.
He saved America. Bro, the term isn't even over yet. I love how he's writing the ending of his term before it's even happened, and that Donald Trump saved America. Trump already, I guess, knows the end of the story. The story hasn't even ended yet, but Trump's written it.
That's a plaque in the White House.
He's not beating the dictator charges. This is like an African dictatorship.
Bro, this is
This is
They also
crazy.
changed the name. I think they're changing the name of the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center.
Oh, boy.
Whoops.
Somebody
so
needs
ridiculous. Why is he so ridiculous? This is insane. Like this is peak level Trump insanity. And again, I always laugh when the super diehard Trump guys, because like I think Trump is funny, but the guys who really have faith in Trump, when they're like, man, fuck SNL. They put him on SNL. They have him do these ridiculous things. The characterization of him is so wrong. Bro, when I see stuff like this, I'm starting to think that SNL is actually a pretty generous characterization of Trump and his craziness. I mean, the guy's a complete lunatic, whether you like him or not. And look, I don't even actually say that as an insult. You know, part of what I've thought about Trump is that actually the fact that he's a little bit crazy, or maybe even very crazy, is part of his brilliance. You know, I truly and firmly believe this when it comes to visionary thinkers, when it comes to people who completely think outside of the box and people who were really born to change the establishment. You know, when we look at people who can come in to an established system and completely override everything that we know about it and completely overhaul and change the rules, you got to be a really different thinker. And as brilliant as you have to be on one hand, though, you have to be a little bit crazy on the other hand. And that, to me, is what I think has really helped Trump in his life and really propelled him to great heights, is that as much as he does have a business mind to an extent, and he obviously has the business acumen behind him to make things happen, and of course the connections and the wealth, he also has this little spark of craziness in him. And that spark of crazy, I think when reined in and when used for good and when used in the appropriate fields, is actually a super beneficial trait from a guy like Trump. Because you're never going to meet a guy like Trump who's able to think outside of the box in the way that he is, that's not a little bit crazy. Every single one of those guys is a little bit crazy, whether it's a Ye, whether it's Andrew Tate, whether it's Trump, whether it's whoever. All these dudes are a little bit nuts. Name one genius who isn't crazy. Isn't that what Kanye West said on his album, Life of Pablo? Name one genius who isn't crazy. So that's really the way I see it with Trump. The only thing with Trump, though, is that he often crosses the line from that little spark of craziness that then translates into brilliance. He crosses that line into just being a lunatic a lot of the time. And behavior like this with the auto pen being the portrait for Biden and these ridiculous narcissistic plaques that he's hanging in the White House, these to me are parts of the crazy side of Trump that actually I think don't help him. I really think that these elements of his behavior actually make him really look bad, and it makes him look like an unstable person. Now, my only question is this. Since he is the guy who's won, since he's the guy who's in the White House, how do we balance the spark of brilliance that comes from the craziness while also managing the bad parts of the crazy? Because, again, I think that the little sparks of crazy that Trump has are what helps him make effective decisions when he does. But then it's also what pushes him to be a raging narcissistic lunatic. So how do we sort of balance the good part with the bad part is my question.
Somebody needs to tell him, like, hey, this is not good. You can't do that. Because then other people could do that too. And then the White House stops being the White House and it becomes whoever's in its house, where he could just go crazy and say everybody else is a crook.
I don't think anyone's going to do what he's doing. I don't think there's. I mean, look.
God,
look,
I hope not. But it opens up. The problem is, it opens up the door for someone on the left to do their version of it.
Who's going to be the Democrat? Who's next?
I love how Joe Rogan is worried about the partisan element still. He's like, oh, well, if Trump does it, then somebody on the left could do it. Joe, you're still being wrapped up in this stupid, childish debate of left and right, not really realizing it's all coming from the same side. To me, it makes no difference if it's somebody from the left or somebody from the right who's acting like a crazy asshole. I don't care if they're right-wing and they're doing it. Is that supposed to make it better? Rogan's like, if we let Trump do it, then somebody on the left could do it. Joe, it doesn't make a difference if they're on the left or the right. Crazy is crazy, and stupid is stupid. So interesting to hear that Rogan is still buying into this partisan shtick, when really, when you look at Trump and his behavior and what he represents, it doesn't matter if Trump is claiming to be on the left or the right. All Trump is a shill for the establishment. Didn't you guys see him getting Netanyahu's Best Boy Award today? They literally made up an award to give Trump for being Netanyahu's best boy. Give him a pat on the head like a dog, like a good little puppy dog for serving Israel. So if you really think Trump being on the quote-unquote right wing is making a difference to his agenda, Trump is a globalist. Trump is not right or left. Trump is not serving America. Trump is serving the globalist agenda. We all know this. Anybody with a brain knows this.
Fucking Gavin Newsom, he's not going to fucking put up a
Of course
plaque.
he would. Of course he would. He copies everything that Trump does. He even tries to talk like Trump on Twitter. You don't think that he would put up plaques that talk about how corrupt Trump was and about how terrible, and he was quoted as lying over 5,000 times by Washington Post? You know.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to put up a plaque. That'll just be everywhere.
I mean,
You know
but
what I
he
mean?
could put that under his photo, though. Like, that's never been a thing that people did before,
For sure.
right? I mean, I'm
Probably.
guessing. What was it before?
Here he added that Ronald Reagan was a fan of President Trump's long before his historic run for the White House.
He didn't say Reagan was a fan, did he? Wait, what? It doesn't actually say that. There's no way it says that. What does it say here? It says he was a fan of President Donald J. Trump long before President Trump's historic run for the White House. No, he didn't say that. This is crazy. In what sense was Ronald Reagan a fan of Donald Trump?
Well, that's so disturbing. That's such crazy thinking.
What fucking lackey put that shit up and was like, do you like this? Of course he's going to fucking like it.
Bro, he wrote it. What are you talking about? You don't think he wrote it? You think a lackey wrote it?
What do you guys think? Did Trump write these or no? I would definitely say Trump wrote these because it's just got the crazy megalomaniacal tone. It's not even a word. Megalomaniac tone that Trump really has with the ego and just the gloating and the I'm number one and everybody else sucks thing. This is totally the words coming directly from Donald Trump. And it's really writing in a way that only he could dream of. You know, they're talking about whether or not a future president is going to do this. I don't think any future president is going to do this because I don't think any future president is going to be as clueless as Donald Trump. And again, that doesn't mean he's not an effective leader at times. That doesn't mean he's not capable of making decisions that are good for the country. That doesn't mean he doesn't deserve his position even. But the one thing about Trump that is his weak point is that socially, he's completely clueless. He's clueless as to the way he comes off. He's clueless as to the fact that he seems like a complete egomaniac. And he doesn't register the way that he comes across in the room. He's not able to read the room. That's one thing about Trump. And again, that may be what makes him an effective decision maker. If you're making decisions that are supposed to impact the entire world and you have this level of pressure on your shoulders, then it's probably a good thing to be able to just make the call. You know, they've said that some of the greatest leaders in history, whether it's generals or, you know, warriors, conquerors even, some of the greatest leaders and greatest people who've had to execute decisions in the world have had a little bit of that psychopathic trait, have had a little bit of that not registering how people think or feel about them. And again, socially in the modern world, these are terrible traits to have. But for a decision maker, for somebody who's making choices for the free world, for the greater good of our world, to have that tunnel vision and to not really think about how it's being perceived when you make those choices, I think is a good quality. But again, socially, it's insane.
I don't fuck if I know. I don't know what's going on.
It's whoever's writing his tweets wrote that.
Yeah.
Same shit.
He's got to be writing his tweets.
I think they made a video of it, right?
Yeah.
So the video is like he says things and someone types it out for him.
Yeah, did you guys see that video? Let's look at the video of Trump writing his tweets actually. Because this was actually a fascinating clip. We'll quickly look at it. Trump writing tweets. Yeah, so this is going to show how he actually gets it done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Oh, too many thank yous. About 20. There must be 35.
Traveling from India
That's
to
good.
California with an unshakable dream to be the scientist.
How many people are watching?
Home.
Can we tell how many, Dan? How many people are watching?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
They didn't show the actual part where he's writing the tweets, though.
So this is President Trump watching.
you, everyone.
She's talking about how great San Francisco was before she destroyed it. A lot of talk about childhood. We've got to get to the border, inflation, and crime. These prosecutions were all started by her and Biden against their political opponents. Me. I love it.
This is
Put it in there.
badass.
Put it right in with the stuff, huh?
So basically, he has it transcribed. He just says it to a person next to him and has them type. So if there's any shadow of a doubt that Trump is writing these tweets or writing these statements or this insane shit that he puts out, that's basically been cleared by this video. I mean, this is a guy who every single word that's going out is coming from his mouth. So again, this is like one of the excuses that people have tried to use. Like, well, Trump doesn't actually write his tweets. Do you really think he's writing this? Do you really think it's him putting these messages out? Yeah, actually I do, because that seems to be exactly what's happening.
He fucked up on Twitter this week.
What, with the Rob Reiner thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's all crazy.
So if he didn't do the Rob Reiner thing and then put up those plaques, I'd be like, that's funny. But then the Rob Reiner thing, you're like, God damn it, dude.
Well, the plaques are crazy.
What did you guys think about the Rob Reiner tweets, by the way? For anybody who's not familiar, I just want to make sure, because they're talking about all this stuff as if we've just looked at it with them. But they're actually talking about a lot of different things out of context. So the Rob Reiner tweet, of course, the movie director who was murdered in his sleep by his children, or his son, actually. I'm not going to say children. His son massacred him in his sleep. A really, really tragic story that happened in Hollywood. And this was one of the latest Trump things that actually had a lot of people upset in the way that he reacted to it. He put this post up on his Truth Social and his X account, which we're going to go ahead and read now. And again, this was something that really ruffled a lot of feathers when it came to Trump. He says, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. The president continued, he was known to have driven people crazy, in all caps, by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps, like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace." I mean, I'm almost completely speechless when I read a message like this. Just absolutely stunning language coming from the President of the United States. And again, if anybody has had any question as to Trump's capability for empathy, or the way he feels about other people, or if he cares about other people, if he's capable of putting others before himself, I think a tweet like this completely answers all of those questions. And I've said it before about Trump. The only thing that I ask for the people who are super aggressive about supporting him is just a little bit of honesty and transparency. So I'm of the school of thought that a person can be really good in one department while being really bad in the other department. And this applies for Donald Trump as well. Even if a person is good at making decisions for the country, even if you agree with somebody's policies, even if you think this person is the person to sit in the Oval Office and make the choice, that can also be differentiated from the fact that this is not exactly a good person. And just because you're good at making policy, just because you're good at running a country, doesn't mean you're a good person, doesn't mean you're an honest individual. And that to me is really the case with Donald Trump. I see it very plainly in black and white. He's capable of getting the job done when he needs to, and he may be the best choice in certain circumstances. But he's not the type of person I would trust in my apartment. He's not the type of guy that I would want to have a beer with, and he's not the type of guy that I would want to trust my kids around, leave around my kids. Both of these things can be true, but the thing is, when people really are invested in a politician, they try to basically make up for the whole package. So not only will they tell me Trump's a great president, not only will they tell me he should have won, all that's fine. That's a conversation we can have. But they'll also tell me that he's a good guy. They'll also tell me that he cares about people. They'll also tell me that he's not an egomaniac and he's actually a good person who cares about people other than himself. And sometimes I think it's easy to start to fall for that behavior. I think guys like Joe Rogan fell for those claims and fell for some of that behavior from Trump, that he really does care and he's not an egomaniac and he's a good guy who just cares about the country. But when Trump comes out and really takes off his mask and the mask slips, this is when it becomes very apparent that Trump doesn't give a rat's ass about anybody but himself. I really don't care what the Trump supporters are going to say or whatever. And again, doesn't mean he doesn't make good choices. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be the president. I mean, he won fair and square. So obviously, if people want him to be the president, that's fine. But I think it's important to remember that even if somebody is good at making those choices, if somebody's good at, putting on a suit and playing that role, that doesn't make them a person of good moral character. And I think it's really tragic that we've lost that. People are willing to either pretend that a person with rotten moral character, hollow moral character, if any, is that guy. In Donald Trump, people want to pretend this is a good person. They want to pretend this is a guy of moral substance. That's the one thing they do. Or the other thing is they just completely cast away morality. That's the other side of it. People will either try to make excuses for this guy or they'll just say, I don't care. So it's an equally troubling outcome. It's equally troubling. Either you're going to pretend this guy's a good guy or you're just going to admit that you don't care if he's good. And he's leading us into battle.
The blacks are crazy.
The blacks are crazy. It's like the White House is supposed to be where each new president, the new guy comes in, you won the new election, congratulations, let me show you around, this is what it's like. These are all the photos. What's funny?
Another good one.
Loud.
I think they changed. Look at I think that's the photo for Joe Biden.
It's an auto pen?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So stupid.
that's so crazy.
It's so stupid, dude. Like, seriously. This is just idiotic behavior.
That's hilarious. That's so crazy.
Yeah, but again, it's still funny. When
It's
he does crazy
kind-
shit, when he
it's-
does crazy
yes.
shit and it's funny,
It's
I like
funny.
it.
Right.
It's stupid.
But the
I don't
Rob
love
Reiner,
that.
Like, really? Who has the time for this shit? You're telling me that you're trying to run the U.S. economy? You're telling me there's wars going on internationally? Ukraine war, Russia, Israel, Palestine, Thailand, Cambodia fighting now? And you're telling me that you have the time to do stupid shit? That's why I don't really respect it. Yes, it's funny. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you guys this shit isn't hilarious. Let's just be completely upfront about this. The auto pen is hilarious. The plaques are hilarious. But dude, we're in the middle of wars. We have a plummeting economy. We have a middle class who's increasingly disenfranchised, who can't afford groceries, who can't afford a home. And you're telling me that you have time with all of these things happening to do stupid, petty shit. You have time to be hanging up a picture of an auto pen or changing the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, or putting up stupid plaques about Joe Biden. Like, bro, where are your priorities right now? The world is crumbling in front of us, and Donald Trump only seems to be concerned about doing stupid shit and sticking up for Israel. Those are his only concerns. I don't hear a word about the American public. I don't hear a word about the citizens. I hear him throwing stones at his political opponents and shilling for Israel. That's all I hear.
The Rob
It's
Reiner
funny.
thing is not funny, right?
No.
And that's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thinking. And when you see it with no empathy, that's when it's hard to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish he could apologize. I know you can't and
No.
he won't.
Listen, there's no justification for what he did that makes any sense in a compassionate society. It's no different than people that were celebrating when Charlie Kirk got shot.
That's
Like,
that's the thing that bothered
it's
me.
the same
It's
kind
like,
of
bro,
thing.
it'd be like if Obama tweeted,
Yeah.
rest in piss.
Imagine.
Like,
Oh my God. Imagine if Obama tweeted, something about someone, after they died in this way, that this person was a deranged, that person that hated Obama, and he wrote Obama like all caps. Imagine if
I
Obama
would love
talked
Obama.
like Trump. Do you imagine if Obama talked like Trump? They hated Obama. That was his thing. He talked about
the
himself.
third person is crazy. It's true. When you picture a different president doing it, it actually sinks in how crazy it is. I think I'm just used to Trump doing it, but like when I picture Obama speaking like that, they never liked Barack. They hated me, and they deserve to die. They had Obama derangement syndrome.
The third person. That would be crazy.
Such a bad Obama impression.
It just shows you how crazy it is the way Trump thinks and talks. It's just like the guy got sliced up by his kid. You know?
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't see that and go, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's the worst. Also, the kid's claiming not guilty right now.
Oh, Carl. Okay.
I like it.
By reason of what?
I like the move.
Oh, boy. It's so dark, man.
Yeah.
So Joe Rogan speaking on his thoughts about Donald Trump and his ridiculous plaques in the White House, the auto pen portrait for Joe Biden, and of course his statements on Rob Reiner. Now look, as you can clearly see written all over Joe's face here, Joe seems to be having some regrets when it comes to, I guess, helping this guy win. I mean, look, this is the one thing that really doesn't work in Joe Rogan's favor when it comes to criticizing the president, is that Joe Rogan's podcast machine is one of the main reasons this guy won. You know, I firmly believe that after the Joe Rogan podcast experience, and we have to remember too, Joe did not only interview President Trump, he had President Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk back to back to back, basically as a campaign run for Trump on the podcast. I mean, we've never seen anybody be able to get on Joe Rogan's platform and shout their message louder than we saw the MAGA movement be able to do it back in 2024. And this was essentially 9 to 12 hours of airtime accumulatively on Joe Rogan's show, pushing for people to vote for MAGA, pushing for people to vote for Trump. I mean, and this is not an exaggeration. If you guys remember these appearances, even Elon Musk, he went on the Joe Rogan Experience speaking to tens of millions of people. And he said, look, you have to vote for Trump in this election. If you don't vote for Trump in this election, and this is the quote from Elon Musk, he said, this will be the last election. There will be no more elections. So they used Joe Rogan's platform, and he gave his platform to this movement to scream from the rooftops about how they were the one to pick, to scream out loud about how they were going to, push back against the establishment and swoop in and save America. And I have to say, when Joe did that, he showed a pretty shocking display of drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, Joe Rogan has always been a guy who I think has been known for being a fairly independent thinker. You know, this isn't the guy that you would typically think would be coerced or be sort of a puppet of big government. Maybe before you wouldn't have thought that. But this is really the way I started to view Joe when this happened. And you could even see it in the podcast. You know, I sat down and did a live stream reacting to this whole podcast of Rogan and Trump, both parts. I split it into 2 parts for my stream. And you could see that Rogan was starstruck, and again, I don't blame him. Look, if I had the president on my podcast, I would be pretty starstruck myself. But I wouldn't be used to let that person shill their message to my audience. I could never let that be me. So I feel like Joe Rogan really got swept up in everything. He got lost in the sauce when it came to Trump, and he got enamored. He got starstruck when it came to this. And now I think that now that the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled and everybody's in their position, Rogan is probably starting to realize that he got bamboozled. Look, this is a dude who has a lot of power and a lot of influence. I think it's very rare to be able to get into this guy's ear and really offer him anything. Joe Rogan is a guy who doesn't need anything from anybody. There's very few people who are more powerful than him in the current space. But the one person who's more powerful and who can sort of dangle a carrot in front of a guy like Joe is the leader of the free world, is a guy like Trump or the guys like Elon Musk. And I think they got to Joe. And I think they used Joe Rogan and his platform to push their agenda to help them win in 2024. So that's ultimately what I would say. And someone said, you mean like when he had Tulsi, Bernie Sanders, and Andrew Yang when they were running for the Democrats? Exactly. There you go. So that's another example of Rogan shilling. And look, let me just make this perfectly clear. I don't think it's that out there that Rogan would use his podcast to push his beliefs, because that's what everybody does. If I was a big Trump supporter and I had the biggest podcast in the world, you bet your sweet ass I'd have Trump on to win. I mean, that's just common sense. You know, I don't think there's such thing as anybody being unbiased in this thing. So it makes perfect sense. If you like a certain, political party, if you like a certain candidate, you're going to use your show to perpetuate that. That's not rocket science to me. But my only observation about it when it comes to Rogan is that I don't know if he really liked them as much as he thought he did. And maybe he was used a little bit. Because it doesn't seem like he's really into the tactics that they're using now. And it doesn't seem like he's very much behind what he voted for. Everything that's happening now from the Trump White House, Rogan seems to be against it. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Ultimately, I would say that I think Rogan's getting a bit of cold feet when it comes to Trump. And I think it's actually nice to see, because ultimately I do think that you're entitled to change your mind in this space. And I think if you do change your mind based on new information, that's a really important thing to showcase also. You know, people have such a loyalty to their party. People are so cult-minded when it comes to politics, and they're so team-oriented, feeling like the right wing or the left wing is on their team, and like they need to have an allegiance to either side, no matter what happens. That, to me, is the most poisonous part of modern-day politics, is this cult-like mentality to the side, to your tribe, that you're really trying to go with. So that's what I would say. I think it may seem a little bit confusing to look at Rogan's evolving stance on Trump. It may seem a little bit disingenuous to see him criticizing Trump after helping him get elected. But that being said, I think we actually do need to give Rogan a little bit of credit when it comes to this, because he's not having that cult-like mentality that he needs to stick with the people he came in with. And I'm the same way. Look, if I decide to come in with MAGA because I feel like MAGA is good at the time, I'm entitled to that right. I'm entitled to feel like MAGA is good at the time. But if MAGA starts doing shady shit, and now the Epstein list is coming out, and there's inconsistencies, and Trump is going insane, and he's disrespecting people who've passed away and all this stupid shit, I feel like I'm allowed to change my mind as well. And I should change my mind based on the new information. Now, people want to trap Joe into what he's thought because he helped Trump win. So they say, well, you helped Trump win, you helped him get elected, so you can't change your mind now. But think about it. How many Trump voters have changed their mind also? You know, that's like telling a person who now is burning their MAGA hat because of the Epstein files, well, you helped Trump win, so you can't change your mind. If anything, it's actually more important that those people change their minds, because it shows that they're not being sucked into a political cult. So that's the one thing I will say about Rogan. I actually have to give him a little bit of credit. And guys, I'm not saying MAGA is good or bad. I'm not a political guy. I don't support MAGA. I'm not against MAGA. Unless they're proven to be pedophiles, and I'm against all pedophiles. And again, I was more so probably with Rogan. When Trump went on his podcast in the beginning, I mean, I definitely wanted Trump to win over Kamala. There's no question about that. So if I had to pick somebody at that time, it would have been Trump. But now there's too much shady shit. How do we explain away the Epstein files? How do we explain away the way he treats his staff and the people around him and turns on them on a dime? How do we explain his insane narcissism? His complete lack of empathy for anybody but himself? The fact that he's a slimy liar? The fact that he's a shill for Israel? I mean, how is that consistent with the message that MAGA was sending in the 2024 election cycle? How is that America first? How is that prioritizing the citizens? How is anything that Donald Trump is doing now representative of his campaign promises? He's doing very little at the moment to represent his promises. And even the promises he is delivering on, they're not being delivered in the way which people expected them to be. People aren't as happy with them as they thought they would be, whether it's the deportations or whatever the case may be. So that's my question. Again, I'm not pro-MAGA, I'm not against MAGA, but my question is really this. How do we look past that? How am I supposed to support a guy who's involved in this shit? And who tells his supporters, well, if you believe Jeffrey Epstein, I don't want you to support me anyway. People who've lost their jobs and, been cast out of their family get-togethers for supporting Trump. Now, he doesn't give a fuck. So why should the people give a fuck about him? Genuine question. I'm just asking because I really want the answer. Like, if you're still on the Trump train, bro, at this point with the Epstein stuff, you're probably the same dude who would make excuses for your uncle when he did something inappropriate at the family gathering. The creepy uncle, you're probably the dude who'd be like, he didn't touch her like that. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. He's just a little handsy. Don't worry about him. He's a good uncle. Those are the dudes who are supporting Trump still. If you're still a Trump supporter, like to that level in 2025, leading into 2026, with the Epstein stuff, I don't trust you around my kids. Because you're the same motherfuckers who would do some creepy shit around a kid and then make an excuse for it. How are we making excuses still? It's 2025, 2026, tomorrow. And you're making excuses for pedophiles still. And I'm supposed to be the bad guy for calling it out. That's how crazy and twisted life is in 2026. You call out the pedophile evil people, and you're actually the bad guy for calling it out while they roam free. I mean, this you can't make this shit up. I couldn't even write this shit. But I'm not really seeing any good answers in the chat. I was trying to ask out of genuine curiosity, but I'm not getting any responses. Okay, fair enough. I guess it's lots of silence from the MAGA crowd today. Usually you guys are very vocal. And again, I like you guys. I do. I told you when it was the election time, I was hoping Trump would win. But we got to back up what we talk about. Part of why I wanted Trump to win was because I thought the Democrats were evil pedos. So I didn't want them in. But if the Republicans are the evil pedos, then it's fuck them. I don't care who it is, bro. That's the sickness of political cultism. That's the sickness of political cult mentality. Is that you will excuse the inexcusable because it was your side that did it. So yeah, man, I think Rogan is definitely having some good realizations. Shout out to the chat. Shout out Devin. Shout out V. I think we have some more clips. We have another clip of Rogan talking about the Epstein files. Let's take a look at this one. So I don't know if you guys saw the new Epstein files that started coming out, but it was redacted. And then a lot of the redactions you could actually read. So it was poorly redacted. But a lot of the stuff that's actually coming out is making Trump look terrible. And this isn't a bashing on Trump show, by the way. This is just following the facts. Let's take a listen.
I mean, it feels like, you can't help but feel like the administration is just like watching their back, and that's why it's happening.
Watching someone's back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all speculative why they haven't released it, but it's not good. It's not good for everybody's confidence.
No.
It's not good that this thing was going on, that they had this bizarre blackmail operation running. That's very weird.
Guys, if you want the Epstein files exposed in full, hit the like button right now. Smash the like. 1 like equals 1 vote to drop the Epstein files unredacted.
Strange.
Very weird. But it kind of makes sense. Because if you're a 60-year-old billionaire and you're a freak and you like to get your freak on, but unfortunately you're a gigantic software developer and everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get your freak on.
Well, that's the thing is like it makes sense when you go like, oh, some of these dudes really liked visiting that place.
Yeah.
It's like that's the only place they can go.
Right.
You can't go anywhere else.
Right. And that's why they set it up for them.
Yeah.
Eric Weinstein said that to me once. He I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
If you're the former president of the United States, you can't go to a nightclub.
Yeah, he said, I think there are people out there that provide experiences for certain people that have a hunger for them.
Yeah.
I was like, of course. And that's also how they compromise people too, right?
Oh.
Well, I was going to say that and the blackmail. I mean, we have to remember too, if you're going to blackmail somebody with that type of stuff, you're probably not going to get them to go to the, Plaza Hotel in New York. It's going to have to be pretty removed from any place they can get caught. So, yeah, the island makes sense at that point.
For them.
Yeah.
I was like, of course. And that's also how they compromise people too, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's how they get you to vote the way they want you to vote and play ball. Bobby, we got video, you sucking a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? Yeah. Because, like, I bet all those people have something on them. That's how they stay in the game.
They have to.
It's like skull and bones. You got to suck the dick.
Well, look at
otherwise we can't trust you.
For the Epstein shit, look at the level of people that we're visiting. I mean, it's all at the highest level of influence, power, and fame.
Yeah.
And so you go, yeah, this dude wants to do some wild shit. He can't go to Cheetahs and get it done.
Yeah.
You can't do it. He's got to go somewhere. Yeah. What sounds good? A private island.
Yeah. He can't just order up a call girl.
It's too risky.
Where are you going? I'm going to Captain Billionaire's house to go suck his dick. I do it every Tuesday. Plus, I'm on meth, and I'm really good at keeping secrets.
Yeah. These guys, it's dark. It's fucking dark.
So insane. I still can't believe that the Epstein files are now a mainstream story, which has actually been proven to be true. I legitimately cannot believe this because I think I've said this before on the stream. I was one of those 4chan kids, guys. Back in 2015, I was one of those 4chan kids who was all deep into this Epstein story. And I was talking about it at the family get-togethers, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner. I would be that crazy kid. I was literally the black sheep of my family, my entire teenage years especially, because I was very deep into these conspiracy theories. I was one of those 9/11 kids. 9/11 was, a government thing. There was governments of other countries potentially involved. I was always skeptical of the moon landing and space. But the main conspiracy that I really got into when it first came out on the internet in a big way, and I know it's lagging a little bit. Hopefully it's going to get better here in a second. I just shut some windows. The main conspiracy that I was really into was the Epstein files. And I'll never forget this, the one day at the family gathering when they gave me the chance to say my piece about it. And I really went into detail. I said, look, this is what's happening. I wasn't the only person to know about it, obviously, but I was one of the people who knew about it. And I told them, there's this billionaire named Jeffrey Epstein. There's no records of him being a financier, but he's called a financier. Clearly, he's some sort of CIA-fed asset. They bring all these people to this island. There's a sex island. Bill Clinton has been to the sex island. This is the type of shit that I was saying at my family get-togethers in 2015. And again, I'm not claiming that I broke the Epstein story. What I'm telling you is that it's shocking to me that we're actually in a world where the Jeffrey Epstein story is now not only a mainstream story, but it's accepted common knowledge that this actually happened and this actually existed. I never thought that we would get to a place in modern day society, especially in the Western world, where these things would be accepted. I truly thought that people would always just say that Epstein was a conspiracy theory. It's true. I really just thought that certain things with the elites, with the powerful people, with the politicians and celebrities, I figured would just always be called conspiracy theories because I didn't think the public would ever be ready to admit that these things are happening. And I remember the reactions. I remember people saying, okay, well, Cassius is crazy. He's just a crazy guy because he thinks there's a sex island where celebrities go to. What type of lunatic would think that? And we've got all the way to the point where now it's accurate. So it's insane. It's insane to look at how far we've come with this. And it's hard not to say I told you so. but I'm not going to say it to you guys because if you're watching this stream, then you already know.
Yeah. These guys, it's dark. It's fucking dark.
So some guy comes along and says, I can take care of your problem.
And then
and everybody says, oh, trust me, he's a great guy.
He's really cool.
Yeah. And
he's got a great
he also
sense of
does this
humor.
thing. Yeah, great sense of humor.
Yeah.
His staff
Shout out Kyle, man, mod of the year.
love him.
Yeah.
Kyle, last time you tried to talk to me in the stream, dude, I was so fucking tired. I didn't even know my own name, brother. I was like, this dude must think I'm retarded.
They also do this thing where, you know, it's like you're going to hang out with other famous people, so it must be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bill Clinton's here.
So what about Tom Hanks, by the way, guys? Did Tom Hanks go to Epstein Island or not? Was that like was that a part of the conspiracy theory or was it real? I always heard that Tom Hanks was going to Epstein's Island, but now people say it's fake.
Problem.
This is a statement released by the spokesperson or spokesman for Bill Clinton.
Oh,
today.
let's read that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's a person who signed it. My name is Angel Urena, spokesman for the former President Bill Clinton. Isn't that weird?
He's the deputy chief of staff for Bill Clinton.
I can't read this. Hopefully he reads it out loud because it's so blurry.
Okay. He's still got a chief of staff. What does he do these days? Epstein Files Transparency Act imposes a clear legal duty on the U.S. Department of Justice to produce the full and complete record of the public demands and deserves. The public demands and deserves. However, what the Department of Justice has released so far and the manner in which it did so makes one thing clear: someone or something is being protected. We do not know whom, what, or why. This is like the killer pretending to be the detective.
Yeah.
We've got to solve this crime.
So wait a second. Bill Clinton's representatives are basically saying that the Epstein files are being protected too much. We need no such protection. This is crazy.
Record of the public demands and deserves. The public demands and deserves. However, what the Department of Justice has released so far and the manner in which it did so makes one thing clear: someone or something is being protected. We do not know whom, what, or why. This is like the killer pretending to be the detective.
Yeah.
We've got to solve this crime. We do not know whom.
This is the killer joining the search party.
We do not know whom, what, or why. We have photos of you in a fucking hot tub, buddy. But we do know this: we need no such protection. Accordingly, we call on President Trump to direct Attorney General Bondi to immediately release any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton.
Damn, Bill Clinton's like, we want all the smoke, bro. He's like, drop those files, son. Drop whatever files you got of me. We want all the smoke. We got our legal defense ready. Now, this is a bold move, actually. But think about it, dude. If you were innocent, see, this is an interesting chess move on the Clintons' part, because this is almost like the closest I've come to thinking Bill Clinton might be somewhat innocent. If you were really innocent, like let's say it was me, and people are making rumors about me that I was in bed with Donald Trump, calling me Bubba, saying I was doing shit with, Epstein's Island, I would say the same thing. I would say, look, if you have any evidence of me, any pictures, any video, any recordings, enough's enough, put it out now, and we can address it now. That's what an innocent person would say. And I have to be honest, I do think a lot of this misdirection and a lot of these conflicting stories about the Epstein files and the rumors that are being made up and the fake pictures are actually hurting this story a lot. Because the one thing you shouldn't do when someone has done 3 things bad is say they did 4 things bad. This is exactly what Chris Rock actually said about Trump in an interview, which he explained why a lot of people actually gravitated to like Trump, and it makes a lot of sense. Because Trump would do 3 things wrong, and the media would say he did 4 things wrong. But what happens when you add that 4th thing is that people will find out it's bullshit, and then they start making excuses for the other stuff that a person's done that's bad. So really all we have to do, look, if there's stuff going on with Epstein and all this stuff, all we have to do is point out what's actually happening with Epstein, and then deal with that. What we don't have to do is release fake pictures, fake call logs, and fake stories, because all that's going to do is actually discredit the real stories and the real evidence being released from this case. So that's what I see happening with Epstein here. I see the whole case being watered down. Some of the stuff is true, some of the stuff is not. But the stuff that's not true is watering down the real evidence and taking away credibility from this story.
This includes, without limitation, any records that may exist and are subject to disclosure under the Act, Public Law 119-38, enacted on November 19, 2025, including grand jury transcripts, interview notes, photographs, and findings by the... This means a deal was made. So if you have a press release like that, that means the call went well.
Yeah.
You got a deal in. Whew, we're good.
We are good.
All we have to do is let him run for a third term.
And we're fine.
Look, he's...
Dude, Clinton chilling in that hot tub, too.
Hey, I would chill in a hot tub, too. It feels nice.
Yeah, it feels nice, but it's just like...
What's the big deal?
Joe, pause, bro. What are you talking about? Don't tell me Joe went to Epstein's Island, too.
Hey, I would chill in a hot tub, too. It feels nice.
Yeah, it feels nice, but it's just like...
What's the big deal?
Very poor choice of words.
You're chilling in a hot tub. If I went to your house and you had a hot tub, like, let's all get in the hot tub. I get in there.
Come on
take
over.
a picture of me. I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
What the fuck is Joe talking about, dude? What? What is he talking about?
Tub, like, let's all get in the hot tub. I get in there.
Come on
take
over.
a picture of me. I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Bro, what the fuck is he saying?
I don't know. I didn't know how old she was.
And you got cameras up all over your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. Probably watching people do coke in the bathroom. You got cameras of that. They were probably doing all kinds of shit.
He was compromising a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. And made a shit ton of money doing it.
God damn, he sure did.
Boy, that's what's really weird. Like, he got gifted a giant mansion in Manhattan by that the dude from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah. And then that guy was like, yeah, he was just running my finances, but then I didn't realize what kind of guy he was. But I gave him billions of dollars to manage. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
That's what you do?
Know what kind of a guy he was after he got arrested for having sex with underage girls.
Yeah, but see, Epstein didn't make money. Epstein had access to a lot of money, but as far as I understand, Epstein didn't actually have that money in his bank accounts. Because if you look into the history of Jeffrey Epstein, you know, they call him a financier. But the truth about Epstein is there's no actual records of him being a financier. There's no trades records. There's no financial documents at all of him being a financier. So at best, what Jeffrey Epstein did was he had access to a lot of assets. That's why people think he was some sort of CIA asset. Because he had access to billions of dollars, but it wasn't his money because there's no record of him actually making any money. You can't trace any of this money back to anything. So again, that's probably one of the strongest clues as to Jeffrey Epstein actually being a CIA asset is the level of money and power that he had access to. None of it was his.
And so then I stopped working with him.
Whew.
Okay.
My favorite one was when they were questioning Bill Gates about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, he's dead now, so you got to be careful. Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, it's crazy.
That's it? That's his statement?
Crazy. She asked him, like, why he had, these interactions with Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
And he's essentially saying, it was a mistake. I was hoping that he was going to do a lot of work with philanthropy.
Sure.
He's going to help me out with philanthropy.
What?
Right.
Bro, why would Bill Gates need help with philanthropy? Why would the richest dude, or I guess whoever, the guy who used to be the richest dude in the world, why would he need help from anybody with anything? It's super strange. Especially a random New York financier. I mean, when it comes to wealth, Jeffrey Epstein certainly wasn't the wealthiest. You could find many more wealthy people than him if you needed help.
That's
Bill Gates has always been shady as fuck, dude. We all know Bill Gates is on some weird shit. He probably helped build the Epstein Island.
With him so many times.
But the end result, the final statement that was chilling, he's like, he's dead now, so you have to be careful. Like, what?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? What do you mean? Be careful to not hang yourself in jail, which is what the official story is, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Be careful or you'll hang yourself in jail? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, it's not what you're saying.
That's
you're
not
saying
what
be
you're saying.
careful because someone killed him,
Mm-hmm.
Killed himself with 19 shots to the back of the head.
right? Which is what we all think. Which is why there's no fucking, the cameras were down, which is why the guards were asleep, which is why his gigantic
bone.
roommate,
Yeah.
who was a murderer and a drug dealing cop who assassinated people, who's built like a fucking gorilla. You ever see his roommate?
No.
You never saw Jeffrey Epstein's roommate?
Uh-uh.
Oh boy.
He had a cellmate when he was there?
bro, not only did he have a cellmate, he had a cellmate that had murdered several people in drug deals, who was a cop. And he was a gigantic, roided up psychopath.
All I know is the most powerful person on earth has been doing a lot to keep that shit from coming out. And I'm not like everybody else. I don't think Trump is in there in a criminal way. But I think he has a lot of powerful friends that have been putting pressure on him to keep that shit under wraps.
I think that definitely has to be
I think it's going to be royal people. It's going to be prime ministers. It's going to be Supreme Court justices. It's going to be all type
former
of
presidents.
Yeah, some CEOs. It's going to be all type of shit in there.
Scientists.
Get it out.
Yeah.
Get it out.
Get the Epstein files out, guys. Get those files out. We're going to take a brief pause here, guys.
And a bunch of the money.
Play this clip while we take a brief pause. I'll be right back.
We're just going to this. We're transfer payments to the states.
So these are automatic payments.
Just automatic payments.
No accounting for them at all.
Like imagine like there's an automatic debit of your credit card, and you never look at the statement.
Right.
So it's just money going out. That's why I call them zombie payments. That they might have been legitimate at one point. But the person who approved that recurring payment changed jobs, died, retired, or whatever, and no one ever turned the money off. And my guess is that's probably at least $100 billion a year, maybe 200.
And going where?
I mean, there are millions of these payments, so it's. I mean,
millions.
Yes.
Millions of payments that are going to who knows where.
Yes. So in a bunch of cases, there are fraud rings that operate, professional fraud rings that operate to exploit the system. They figure out some security hole in the system, and they just do professional fraud. That's where we found, for example, people who were, 300 years old in the Social Security Administration database.
Now, I thought that this was a mistake of not registering their deaths, that people were born like a long time ago and it had defaulted to like a certain number, and so that after time, those people were still in the system. It was just an error of the way the accounting was done. Yeah.
So that's not true. So there's, or at least one of two things must be true. There's a typo or some mistake in the computer, or it's fraudulent. But we don't have any 300-year-old vampires living in America.
Allegedly.
And we don't have people in some cases who are receiving payments who are born in the future.
Born in the future?
Born in the future.
Really?
Yes. The people receiving payments whose birth date was like in 2100 and something.
Okay, so
next century.
Is there a task force?
We know that one of two things must be true. That either there's a mistake in the computer or it's fraud. But if you have someone's birth date that's either in the future or where they are older than the oldest living American, because the oldest living American is 114 years old. So if they're more than 114 years old, there is either a mistake, and someone should call them and say, I think we have your birthday wrong, because it says you were born in 86. That was before, before there was really an America. It was like that's kind of early. We're still fighting England type of thing. It's like this person either needs to be in the Guinness Book of World Records or they're not alive.
But still, at the end of the day, money is going towards that account that's connected to this person that is either non-existent or
so
dead.
So there was I think something like 20 million people in the Social Security Administration database that could not possibly be alive. If their birth date is based on their birth date, they could not possibly be alive.
And then to be clear, 20 million people that were.
Sorry, guys, I was about to get thrown out of this hotel because I was supposed to check out, so I had to go downstairs to pay for another night. I'm sitting here on live stream and I'm like, motherfuckers are knocking on the door. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be in this room right now. So I had to do the live intermission.
Receiving funds.
So I didn't even see what this clip was about. I had to run down. They steal $100 billion from you. Oh yeah.
Funds?
A bunch of most of them were not receiving funds. Some of them were receiving funds. Most were not receiving funds. But so let me tell you how the scam works. It's a bank shot. So the Social Security Administration database is used as the source of truth by all the other databases that the government uses. So even if they stop the payments on the Social Security Administration database, like unemployment insurance, small business administration, student loans, all check the Social Security Administration database to say, is this a legitimate alive person? And if the Social Security database will say, yes, this person is still alive, even though they're 200 years old. But forgets to mention that they're 200 years old. It just returns when the computer is queried, it says, yes, this person is alive. And so then they're able to exploit the entire rest of the government ecosystem. So then you get fake student loans, then you get fake unemployment insurance, then you get fake medical payments.
And this doesn't have to be tied to an individual where there's an address where you can check on this person.
No, if you just did any check at all.
Someone said Elon Musk is AI. He's probably the most advanced form of AI, 100%. But see, this is the place I like to see Elon is in his place of expertise. I feel like if anybody's going to have a handle on money, and if anybody should be dealing with money, it should be the richest man in human history. Maybe not exactly as politically savvy, but I feel like when it comes to funds, I mean, dude, there's no person I would rather have doing my budget than Elon Musk. Let's just put it that way. So I think like a lot of the heat that he caught for Doge and a lot of the heat that he caught from being in government was actually unnecessary. But at the same time, somewhat expected because he put himself in that position. He decided to start taking on issues that were bigger than finances. He started taking on issues that were broader politically. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, if you bite off more than you can chew, you better be prepared to eat. And that seems to be what happened with Elon. But I do think if he sticks to the budget, if he sticks to money, he's in a phenomenal position. Because who's better at it? There's nobody better with money than Elon Musk. Let's hop into a couple clips here from X. Look at some random stuff. So Post Malone, I guess, injured himself during a live stream. What happened that all these artists are live streamers now, by the way? I feel like all of a sudden overnight, every single musician, every actor, every celebrity just became a live streamer. And I was saying this 5 years ago that streamers are going to be the new celebrities soon. But it hasn't even been 5 full years, and now that's where we are. Every single live streamer. It's funny, every live streamer wants to be a celebrity, and every celebrity wants to be a live streamer. We want to be them, they want to be us. So Post Malone, I guess, injures himself during a live stream.
All right, here it comes, y'all.
Oh no.
The restroom, but we're ready.
He said, "Hold my beer."
This is just an attempt.
I'm scared a little bit.
No. Oh.
It's all right. I actually hurt my wrist. My chair rotated.
Oh, not bad.
That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. TMZ called it an epic fail. That wasn't an epic fail. That was a pretty average fail. Yeah, Kyle, isn't that crazy, bro? Like, I was just watching Wiz Khalifa do a live stream last night, and then now I'm seeing Post Malone did a live stream. Every actor wants to do a live stream, and every musician. It's crazy. Look at this one here. So this one says, Ozzy Osbourne once stopped security guards from removing an excited fan who jumped on stage during a Black Sabbath concert. He pushed the guard aside and let the fans sing into the microphone. This is legendary. Bro, Ozzy didn't let him sing, he made him sing. Okay, this is like the ultimate heavy metal fantasy come to life. But I love the madman that Ozzy Osbourne is. Makes the guy sing, kicks him off the fucking stage, does an epic jump, and just continues with his set. Look at the jump. This dude is just so crazy. He was so crazy, man. Rest in peace to Ozzy, dude. This dude was the best. (6ix9ine) imitates Lil Baby and clowns him for being slow.
Give me my flowers. I'm gonna just act like Lil Baby for the next 3 minutes.
Okay, I want to say it really clearly. I do like his music, but if you want to act like...
Give me my flowers. I'm gonna just act like Lil Baby for the next 3 minutes.
Okay, I want to say it really clearly. I do like his music, but if you want to act like him, you can. You want me to do like, yo, what's up? I really fuck with your music, bro. I'm a huge fan.
About you.
What do you think? Like, what's your goals as being a rapper?
Shit,
Would you ever do a collab with 6ix9ine if you had the opportunity? Like, I think it'd be a bang. You've done it before. Y'all have a song together, though, don't you?
Man.
But do you have a song together or not?
Yeah.
And it's a banger. TikTok is one of my favorite songs I've ever heard, bro.
Cut it out.
Cut it out?
Cut it out.
Bro, come on. I fuck with your music. I know you love that song.
Yeah, these fucking niggas be retarded, bro.
Yeah. Fuck. Why does he sound more like Lil Baby than Lil Baby does himself? But look, dude, he's got a point. I hate to say it, but Tekashi 6ix9ine actually has a pretty solid point here. And the point is this. We're living in an era where people are so sick and tired of rappers. Okay, I feel like there is just a fatigue of rappers. And it's just, people don't really relate anymore. Because most of these rappers, one, are at their big age acting like teenagers. These dudes are in their 30s and 40s acting like they're still about to graduate high school. They're not articulate. They're illiterate. They can't speak or form a sentence properly. And all they want to do is brag about how much money they have. So living in the current era that we're in now, where we're in the era of authenticity, people don't want to see you do a mysterious act anymore. People don't want to see you do a gangster act anymore. People just want authentic speech and to hear what you have to say. So when you're acting mysterious, or you're acting like you're from the hood, or you're acting like you're too cool, in today's era, people aren't going to relate to you. Nobody's going to want to talk to you. Nobody's going to want your output outside of the music because they're not gaining anything from it. Again, this is the era of authenticity. This is the era to pick up your phone and say what's really on your mind and speak about what's on your mind. Talk about what you're actually going through. That's the era that we're in today. So when you're doing these personas or doing mysterious acts or whatever you're trying to do to sell an image, it's not going to connect with people. And the other aspect, too, is I think people are sick of seeing dummies getting rich and famous. I really do think that we're in this era now where people keep saying we made the wrong person famous, or why do we keep making stupid people famous? We're kind of in the era now where people are sick of it. So I think that if they get the sense that you're not articulate and you have nothing to offer and you have nothing to really say, and you become rich and famous, I think people are just going to ignore you now. I really do think people are just going to try to eliminate it because they're sick of people with no substance getting money and fame. They're sick of people with nothing to offer getting in these positions. So ultimately, that's the way I see it. I don't think it's going to last long for these rappers. I think people are getting the fatigue of dummies getting rich and famous with nothing to offer. So I could totally see that. Let's hop over to this one. So it says, Orlando Brown, of course, former child star from That's So Raven on Disney Channel, is reportedly sober after overcoming his addiction and has opened his own chicken restaurant in Arizona. Now we have some footage here of Orlando. Oh, he's in the kitchen too. Okay.
Squeeze. Don't worry about it. Squeeze. Yep. That's it. Right. A little bit more.
My man's getting that work in, putting in that work.
Lemon pepper lime. Lemon pepper lime. With the juice on the side. See what you like. Take that out, bro.
We in the place, man. That oosh gosh, man.
He looks pretty good. Like he actually might be sober. Well, I hate to be that guy, but he's not drinking alcohol, is he? I mean, again, that's his choice if he is, but I thought he was supposed to be sober. Now I see him here chugging a drink down. No judgment if he's not sober. But what's this about? Either way, whether he's sober or not is really not my concern. I applaud the fact that Orlando Brown is out here doing something, man. He's doing something better for himself. Orlando is a guy that we followed on this channel for quite some time. I did, of course, my interview with Kyle Massey, his former co-star, where he gave me an update on Orlando, where he basically just said, look, Orlando's going through some shit, and it's not my place to really speak on what it is, but we wish him the best. That was my viral clip with Kyle Massey. So ever since then, I've certainly been wondering what is up with Orlando. I have got the opportunity to interview Orlando on this platform as well, and I passed on the opportunity at the time. Essentially, they wanted a paid opportunity for Orlando, which I'm not above paying for an interview. I've never actually done it where I've paid for an interview, to be honest. I've never actually paid for one before. But I'm not above paying for it if the circumstance is correct. The only thing with Orlando was that he was basically living on the streets at the time, getting himself in a lot of trouble, and he wanted a certain amount for an interview. And to me, giving that amount to this individual at that time was not going to be beneficial for him. I was very much concerned about that. Again, not to sound like I'm, watching what people are doing, or that's not my role. But I don't necessarily want to be financing it either. I think that's also a reasonable perspective. So now I'd love to have him, and look, now I'd pay him probably. I mean, I don't mind. Again, I don't mind paying. If it's going to go back into his business, that would be great. Let's look at this clip here. This is Orlando speaking on selling your soul to the devil.
If you come to the devil, you know you want to sell your soul for some you know you don't need to have right now. Or if you really, really, really wanted that kidney, or you really, really, really wanted to go over here to what is it, Dubai or what? You really wanted a new life. You went through certain channels to get that life.
Yeah.
You knew what the consequences was.
Do people though?
Yes, they do. That's his whole game. It's to make sure you know what you're gonna do. Right now is the time for righteousness, bro. Some people really, really play the game of, okay, well, I'm gonna look at this face and I'm gonna ask all these questions, but at the same time, I really don't even have to ask all these questions. I need to ask other questions. You see what I'm saying? We can't go back. We can only go forward after everything that we've already done. Every time you wake up, you choose to be good or you choose to be bad. That's me too. We all in this room have a choice to wake up and be good or be fucked up. I try my best to not be fucked up based off of the fact that I know I have boundaries. Regardless of what has happened to me, regardless of what's been done to me, I have to be a child of God.
Wow.
That's why I'm not allowed in certain rooms. That's why I'm not allowed to touch people. I'm not allowed to hug people. I'm not allowed to kiss people. I'm not allowed to have sex. I'm not allowed to see my family. I'm not allowed, bro.
Who's not allowing you?
I'm not allowed. This is not, nah, don't go there. I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to. They're not ready. No, spiritually, they're not ready to deal with me. I have to seclude myself. Do you have the power to seclude yourself?
So you're moving yourself away from
Do you have the power to seclude yourself?
So you're saying you willingly moved your way.
Bro, this guy isn't hearing him. This dude is just talking. You need to listen. As an interviewer, this is one of those moments where it's not a talking moment. This is a listening moment. You don't have to ask follow-up questions when the guest is already speaking. Let him talk.
To deal with me, I have to seclude myself. Do you have the power to seclude yourself?
So you're moving yourself away from
Do you have the power to seclude yourself?
So you're saying you willingly moved your way.
I have to make sure that my peace is protected, my brother. There's everyone watching me every single moment when I think they're not.
Wow. And see, here's the thing about these celebrities who talk about God, who talk about all these things like selling your soul to the devil. They're very vague at times because they kind of have to be vague. You know, they're not really in a position to come out and say who did what to them or whatever the case may be because they don't want more things to happen to them. Really, what you have to do with an interview like this is read between the lines at what he's saying. Sometimes it's reading between the lines and picking up the nuances of the statement. It's not the exact direct statement. Obviously, there's no devil there with an ATM card or an ATM machine accepting payments for your soul. You know, if you're listening to these statements too much with too much of a literal lens, it's not going to connect with you. Really, what you have to do is read between the lines and look that this is a dude who's been through a lot, and he's trying to tell us. It's kind of like a cry for help. Sean says, sounds like a scam. Cassius, my boy, Orlando Brown wants you to interview him. Just give me $20K and I'll arrange it. No, I can see what you're saying, Sean, but it is a legitimate thing that people will charge for interviews. Actors and artists, especially actors, actually, they like to charge. That's why I don't have many of them on. The only person who tried to scam me for an interview was someone who claimed to represent 6ix9ine, Tekashi 6ix9ine. I don't know that they actually were representing him, so I'm not going to blame it on Tekashi. But when I got this person on the phone who represented 6ix9ine, they told me that I needed to pay, you ready for this, to interview 6ix9ine? $1 million. 1M was the price that they told me to interview 6ix9ine. So I bullshitted them. I just acted like I could get it. Because I think either he was just trolling or he was trying to see if I actually had the money. But I felt like he was just trolling. So I just said, okay, I can get you $1 million. guy was full of shit. What is this shit? So what is Doechii doing? Keep seeing these stories about Doechii calling out Aiden Ross. So I want to try to get to the bottom of this story right quick. So apparently Doechii has dissed Aiden Ross and other Kick and Twitch streamers in her latest song with SZA. So the quote here says, "All that industry plant shit whack. I see it on the blogs. I see you in the chats. You suck every rapper's dick from the back. But what's the agenda when the it girl is black?" Oh my God, bro. Please stop. Please stop, bro. Please stop with this stupid shit. She says, "Y'all can't fathom that I work this hard. And y'all can't fathom that I earned this chart. These dudes misogynistic. I'll address it on the album. For now, let's sink into the fact that hate don't make you powerful." Whoa. Whoa, my head is going to explode from these top tier bars from Doechii, bro. These bars are so lethal, dude. She went infrared. She really thinks she went infrared, huh? Just the corniest shit I've ever read. But this is typical from Doechii. This is the typical cookie cutter ass bars. Cat in the hat raps is what I'll call them. Just typical cat in the hat raps. Boring, cookie cutter. Feels like they were in like a coloring book for rappers, like where you just fill it in. That's really the vibe I get from Doechii. And she's definitely an industry plant, but she doesn't want to accept this. So now she's attacking the streamers who are calling it out. Let's see this guy. Stable Ronaldo, he's called out Doechii for disrespecting streamers in her new song.
Blame it on the fame, blame it on the coke, blame it on the Douce, got you feeling low. Y'all wanna believe I'm
gonna be honest with you, I don't understand what's so hard for people to admit that they're an industry plant. It's a very easy concept. When you sign to a label, when you sign with an agency, when you sign with anything, certain people are bad. They have bad intentions. They try to push you, and they try to push you so hard to the point where they cheat the system. That's a real thing. That's a real thing with actors. That's a real thing with streamers. I'm not gonna say names. That's a real thing with streamers, and that's a real thing with musicians. I don't understand. No, but genuinely serious. It's like a real thing. I don't understand. Do people does Doechii not realize that it's a real thing, industry plants, and she's an industry plant? Like, I'm confused. Like, you do not make good music. I'm sorry.
drugs and forsaken. They won't.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's a hard concept. Nobody here is listening to this. You think you could just get this song cleared from the people who originally made this beat? No, you had a fucking label do it, stole it, and got pushed on TikTok. This shit is garbage. This is the work. This song is like actually meant for like theater kids. That's why you lost 40 million fucking Spotify listeners and more.
Not here to reason with them. Misbehave, mispush.
I guess it says 300 million views. Come on, guys, man. You're gonna see this, and you're gonna see this with a lot of artists. You're gonna see this with a lot of actors. You're gonna see this with a lot of people. They come, they go. It's very easy to see when someone is an industry plant. It's not because they have talent. Hey, Doechii, you might have talent to the theater kids. I'm gonna be honest with you, but this music is garbage.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this whole thing from Doechii
not realize that
this whole thing is really a ridiculous attempt at playing the victim and having a victim mentality. Just breaking it down, look, the first things first, if you want to rebut the fact that you're an industry plant, I think that's a fair conversation to have. Look, if I was an artist and people are claiming that my entire career is basically disingenuous and that the industry pushed me to that point without me having to do the real work, that's certainly something I would probably respond to. And I think it's pretty fair for any artist to respond to a statement like that. But when you try to bring it around to being about race and you try to play the race card, your entire argument completely deflates. The idea that Aiden Ross has something against a black artist is one of the most ridiculous, laughable concepts I've ever heard. Aiden Ross has done more than most people in the mainstream media to actually support and champion black music and black culture than anybody else. But Aiden Ross, I think, just generally champions whatever he thinks is good. This is not a dude to me who seems to have a racial agenda. This is a Jewish dude who has Middle Eastern people, Indians, blacks, whites, everybody on his stream. He champions all these artists. He champions all these people in his circle. So the idea that you're going to try to pull the race card against a Twitch streamer, you're going to pull the race card against a 23-year-old dude like Aiden Ross, who clearly doesn't have racial motivation, to me is pathetic. And it just goes to show that you actually are worried about being called an industry plant. You are actually insecure, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have to go ahead and pull the race card. You could simply just explain that you're not an industry plant based on your accolades and based on your real life buzz. The only problem here for Doechii is that she doesn't actually have any of that. So instead of saying, look, I sold this amount of tickets, so I'm not an industry plant. I did this amount of, numbers over here. This can't be explained by bots. Instead of showing like the career catalog that you actually are not an industry plant, all you want to do is insult people, call them misogynist, and call them racist, which is something that I guess has worked for this generation up until now, but doesn't work anymore. I don't know who needs to hear this from the current generation, but calling everybody you disagree with a racist, misogynist, Nazi is not going to fly anymore, because people have used these terms so much that they don't actually really matter at this point. People have been called misogynist so much in the past couple of years, it really doesn't mean anything to be a misogynist anymore. People have been accused of being racist so much in the past decade that even if you are racist at this point, it really doesn't mean much. Because by these standards, everybody's a racist. If everybody's called a racist, then nobody's a racist. It cancels itself out. It doesn't mean anything. So by conducting yourself in the way that you're acting, it's actually empowering the accusations that you're an industry plant, because you can't push back against it with anything of substance and fact. You want to cry racism, you want to cry misogyny. I can guarantee if you were a white man, we would still be calling you an industry plant. It has nothing to do with you being a woman. It has nothing to do with you being black. It has to do with the fact that your music is not very good and that people don't really listen to it. That's the ultimate fact that we need to look at. People aren't listening to your music, and the buzz that you have in the real world is not adding up to the buzz that you have online. That is why people think you're an industry plant. Nothing to do with being a black woman, nothing to do with identity politics, nothing to do with any of that. It's that the buzz doesn't match the numbers. And we can see it. We're not stupid. We've said it about many people from many different backgrounds. So I think this is actually hilarious. And the more that people try to defend Doechii for being an industry plant and say that she's not, and the more she tries to defend it, the more she actually ends up looking like one, at least in my view. And I've been saying it for a while. And the last point I have to throw out, just a side point, which is absolutely hilarious to me, is that this is the same woman who's signed by Kendrick Lamar, who's been championing Kendrick Lamar for this past year, talking about hating, talking about the fact that hate doesn't make you powerful, when the same person who signed her to her label has been on a literal hate campaign for the past year and a half against Drake, has built his entire career revival off simply being a hater. The fact that you're signed to TDE during this era, the Not Like Us era, where the entire record label is built off hatred and questioning the validity of another artist, and actually calling another artist an industry plant with bots, you're going to accept that, but it's not cool to be a hater outside of that, right? You're going to literally be on TDE, co-signing Not Like Us, co-signing a year of Drake hate, but you're going to tell Aiden Ross that hating doesn't make you powerful. I mean, you can't make this shit up. You just, the hypocrisy is absolutely astounding. So this is funny, man. This is super, super funny. Shout out to Doechii for giving me a good old laugh. Somebody said, what's up with Nick Shirley in the chat? Nick Shirley's killing it, dude. Someone said he's so unnatural in front of the camera. I mean, that's okay. I'm not going to criticize Nick Shirley because he's doing good work. What does this one say? Christmas shopping in Canada. What is this about?
Too much of them. They're too much. They're too much. We need to get rid of some of them.
Like deport?
Yeah. They're doing too much bad stuff.
Is she talking about Indians in Canada right now?
Since
Like what bus stop?
like the driving on the road is ridiculous. With the cars, with the vroom, vroom, vroom.
Yeah, why is there people driving on the other side of the road?
Why the other?
In Brampton, I've seen videos online of people driving on the other side of the road.
Because they're scared of these people. Too much look. Much you go, you see a bus stop, you cannot see your white or black. You could see one kind of people. It's too many. Because of that, we can't get house price gone up.
Oh, she's based, bro. She's doing a podcast in the middle of Walmart right now about immigration. She's based as hell.
Rent gone up, everything went up.
She just said, "Fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do the podcast in the chip aisle, talking about my grievances with illegal immigrants, bro. Fuck it, we live."
Think it because of them?
Of course. Because of them, a lot of things get ridiculous.
Why do you think the numbers would be so high then?
Because if 10 of them have to live in one place, they could manage, but we, as black or white or different race, we not accustomed to live like that. So we cannot pay the rent that they are like 10 people. Everybody put together and manage that 3,000, 4,000. We can't. We're not accustomed to that. And because of them living like that and they could manage, they think everybody else could manage the same way. And no, it's not. As a single mother, I cannot rent a place for 3,000. What am I gonna eat?
How much do you pay for rent?
Almost 3,000.
That's crazy.
Exactly. And when you're done,
How much percent of your income is going into rent?
Three quarter, all of it. You can't afford, you have to look. You have to buy low cost food. You cannot buy expensive brand of food.
Like-
I have to buy the egg on sale.
This
It's ridiculous.
Like the eggs that are going bad?
I don't know, but they reduce down. It's ridiculous. We can't live like that. And before, we could have managed to go to work, save money, and still pay for rent, and still could have time to money to get nice time.
See, this is immigrant versus immigrant right here. This is actually the funniest shit. This is like African immigrant versus Indian immigrant. And I always laugh about the different perceptions that people have when they come to Canada. Because again, I'm a Canadian. I don't live there anymore, but this is where I'm coming from is Canada. And it is true. We have a lot of different immigrants from different countries, and they all have very different mindsets about things. I want to hear the rest of her statement.
You think it's really hard for Canadians to get ahead these days?
Yes.
How long have you been living in Brampton?
I've been in Canada 20-something.
Oh, so she's living in Brampton. Okay, so guys, just so you know, Brampton, we've had hundreds of thousands of immigrants come into Canada in the past couple of years, but Brampton has had the most. So if we look up the Brampton immigrant population, currently in this point in 2025, I guess I need to start saying 2026 because that's tomorrow. The population of Brampton includes over half of its residents being foreign born since 2021. So 52.9% of the population, and this is much higher now, is foreign born. 80% of the population in Brampton are visible minorities, and this is up. This is 2021. With 52.4% being from South Asia, So India, and the list goes on and on. So think about that for a second. The Brampton population itself, oh my God. So the population of Brampton is 800,000 people. And at least 400,000 of those people are foreign born. That's an insane statistic. So when we're talking about the changing face, we're talking about the differences. This is just putting into perspective how big of a change we're talking about.
Yeah, and still I can't make it.
Have you watched it slowly become more unaffordable over the years?
Too much. From since after COVID, when Justin Trudeau brings so much of them in, you can see. And they blame it on the pandemic.
Right.
It's them. Look at after the pandemic.
I'm an alien. I'm 100% Martian.
Look at how so many of them get these kind of car. What you call the car? The car that they take off the muffler and make so much noise when they drive in. It's so annoying.
We noticed a lot of that today as well inside the road.
Listen, it is annoying. And it does not respect nobody.
So if you have like any words for anybody out there that might be watching this, what would it be?
We need to do something about these Indians.
Is it like different ethnicities? Like all immigrants?
Not all immigrants.
Okay.
They are majority.
She's like, African immigrants are cool. Only the Indians are bad.
Were you an immigrant?
I love how she's like, yeah, no, everybody else is cool.
Immigrant as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay, where are you from?
St. Vincent and the
We
Grenadines.
forget that this is another immigrant saying all this.
I came here without...
And again, guys, I have nothing against immigrants. Here's my perspective on the immigration crisis in Canada. To me, this is a very simple problem that can be fixed without a whole lot of effort. If we want to welcome in immigrants legally, then that's a conversation that we can have. But there needs to be checks and balances with this immigration. And they're very simple checks and balances. Number one, we need to make sure that these immigrants are not getting more rights and more incentives to live in the country than the actual natural-born citizens in that country. There should never be a scenario where people immigrating to Canada are getting more rights, more perks, or more incentives to live in that country than actual Canadians. That should never be happening. The second thing is there needs to be a population control. We should not have a city like Brampton go from 10 to 15% immigrants to 55, 60% in a couple of years. That's a massive jump, and that's massively reflecting a huge change in this country, but also in that entire region. And I think the biggest mistake that's made by Canada is this liberal ideology that everybody's the same and everybody's equal. Now, when we say everybody's equal, I do believe every human has equal value as a human being. That much I believe. 100% we're all valuable as human beings. That being said, there are massive differences between cultures. There are massive differences in these cultures between our customs, our conduct, the way we carry ourselves, the foods that we eat. There's massive differences between each different region. And that, by the way, is part of what makes these different regions so great. That's their strong suits, not their weaknesses. The best part about different cultures is that they're so unique. The only problem is that unique and different comes with good and bad. What we've done in Canada is we've adopted this liberal ideology that all differences are good, and anything that's different about another culture is what strengthens them and will therefore strengthen us by default, because diversity is strength. The only issue with this ideology is that it's not based in fact. There's a lot of differences that happen when you assimilate with different cultures that are good, but also a lot of bad differences and a lot of things that need to be managed. And right now what we're doing is we're taking all of the bad with all of the good and pretending that there's only good. So it's very simple. If there's going to be an influx this fast of immigration within a country, we can't just be told to shut up and accept it. We need to accept that there's going to be challenges and consequences for this, as well as positive incentives, and we need to deal with each one of them accordingly. It's very simple. We can't just be told to let in 350,000 people from another country who don't share our customs and our values and be told that we can't ask any questions about it or have anything to say about it or have any concerns or else we're racist. That's not how it works, because this is our country and this is the way that we've been raised, and there's certain customs and certain qualities that people have when they're born in Canada that we expect them to still have. Same as if I go to India, I'm not going to start behaving like a Canadian and, you know, putting down rules and acting like I can run the place. If I go to India, I need to assimilate to Indian customs. I need to try to behave in a way in which they expect in their country, because this is their country. You can't just go to a country and take it over and do and behave however you feel. This isn't how the world works. So this is what's creating the frustration between Canadians, people who've lived here for a long time, and these new immigrants. I think a lot of people, if you were to ask Canadians what they think as a whole, I think most Canadians actually support legal immigration. I don't think it's an issue that people don't support immigration. I think it's an issue that we can't just pretend like all of these different cultures can coexist in perfect harmony with zero challenges and zero maintenance. This is not a realistic concept. This is not a realistic way of life. Especially when people are being given incentives that Canadians themselves are not actually being given. So it's very questionable. But ultimately, this is what it is, guys. Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you for the respect in the chat, guys. Thank you for the respect. So that's ultimately the way I see it. I think it's very, very challenging to see what's happening in Canada right now. The country is really, really changing. But we're going to see what happens, man. Ultimately, I'm not going to be there. That's really the beauty of it. I'm not going to be there because I'm not going to sit and watch it fall. So what else do we have? I don't know if there's much else for the stream tonight. It's New Year's Eve. I completely forgot it was New Year's Eve. Let me see if there's anything else we can look at. Maybe one more thing we can look at. Yeah, guys, other than that, I'm going to see what I can do for this evening. See if I can go catch the fireworks or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool to go catch here in Thailand. I don't know where my boys are at. The boys abandoned me. Everybody abandoned me, bro. I'm just chilling here by myself. So we'll see if we can find some friends for the night. All my dogs abandoned me now to start the new year. So we're going to have to figure something out. But we'll probably hop on another stream later tonight. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments.